All right, it's that time of year. Families are going to be coming together for Thanksgiving and Christmas very soon. Inflation continuing to be a headache. Thousands of families will be using Black Friday to do their holiday shopping. There are tons of deals to go around, like every year, but and in-store events as well, and Cyber Monday, because you can't forget that either. But today, our job is to make sure that you're spending the right way and getting the most bang for your buck. So for the next 15 minutes, we're going to be talking about holiday spending with a money expert, and you can get your questions answered in real time by texting 336-379-5775. And so our expert is Nathan Grant. He's a senior credit industry analyst with Money Tips. So he can talk credit cards and money and interest rates and all that jazz. But right now we're going to talk about inflation. And we're going to talk about how we can, kind of get around some of that inflation, best ways to do our holiday shopping.
Mm-hmm. So the thing with inflation is that there's a lot of it that's out of the individual's control. So when it comes to things like the holiday shopping season, you want to focus on what are the things that you do have control over. And that is usually, how am I going to spend my money? How much of my money am I going to spend? And where am I going to spend it? So I think focusing on those things are a good starting point for the holiday shopping season.
Okay, so definitely having a budget, because that whole thing of let me just see what happens and what the mood hits me is not the way to go. And we've heard that before, of course.
It's good to have a cutoff, even if you aren't going to hit it. It's just good to have something to shoot for early on.
That I'm not spending over this amount of money. All right, every time I go online to buy something, I see this whole buy now, pay later thing. So what is this? Kind of talk to us about that and whether the pros or cons of using it.
Yeah, so buy now, pay later is almost what you could look at as like a modern day layaway. You'll see a lot of times a button at checkout online of using that as an option. And what that does is it allows for flexible weekly payments, often with little to no interest. So sometimes that's the struggle, is dividing up a purchase you want, and you're like, I want this, but I don't know if I can pay for all of it right now. Maybe a buy now, pay later option could be the right option for you, especially if it prevents you from putting it on the credit card and then you're carrying it month to month and haven't paid it off and you're now paying interest on it. So that's definitely the biggest pro if you're using it responsibly.
Okay, there are some cons for buy now, pay later. So what are the cons for buy now, pay later?
So there is going to be a fee. So if you don't read the fine print, you're not going to know exactly what it is. You might be like, wait, that cost a little more buying it through this option. And then, if you're already struggling, strapped for cash, it's not like going to save you, even having that little extra time to pay. If you make a late payment on one of those weekly payments, it's going to actually negatively impact you. And then another thing about it is it's still relatively new, even though it's bursting in popularity. And the credit bureaus aren't really consistent on if it's being reported or not, because it has to be reported to them by the providers. So you're not going to get credit boosts from it. And if anything, they're short-term installment loans. So something that's coming on your credit reports and then removing right away, even if they do start getting reported, it's probably not going to do good for you when it comes to that part of your finances. So you don't want to overuse it. Don't use too many at once.
Don't use too many of those buy now, pay laters. All right, let's talk about mobile or digital wallets. There are some folks who use their phone to pay for everything and other people who are like, ooh, I don't know if I should be doing that. Let's kind of go through how it can be helpful and also some things that you need to look out for.
Well, it's probably the most secure way to pay nowadays. You might think, I don't want to store my information on an app or on my phone or my device, but the thing that makes it secure is that the actual information that's being used for each transaction, whether that's online or using one of your smart devices on a tap to pay option at the checkout, is that it's creating a unique token for each transaction. So while your financial information is what is connected to it, it's not being used. So you don't have to worry about like security breaches and things where your information is being put on the line. Those little unique tokens are what's being used instead. So nothing's being used. And what that actually can do is give things like your debit cards a little more security, which we always say, use a credit card instead of a debit card when you're making purchases, because it's got many more federal protections in place that aren't in place when it's your checking account on the line. And this actually puts a little extra layer of protection on top of the protections that a credit card would normally have because of this tokenization option.
All right, and I know people are thinking to themselves, yeah, but I'm having to put my credit card information into my phone. But what you're saying is it is a more secure option than even almost having it in your hand.
Yeah, and even if somebody physically takes your phone, to even use these mobile wallets, or let's say it's attached to your smartwatch or your smartphone, there's usually a two-step verification process. So that could be Face ID or using your thumbprint to actually be able to use it. You try to scan it ahead of time, it's going to actually give you like a exclamation point or something and say, no, you can't do that yet. So it's just got a lot more security in place than just, having a physical card or cash in your hand.
Gotcha. Okay. So not only is it like how you pay, like what you use, whether it's a credit card or pay now, pay later, or your digital, mobile digital thing, it's always that we're going to pay, right? So let's talk about holiday debt and how we avoid going into holiday debt.
Yeah, so we talked about, setting a budget, starting early is important, but think about where you can save money elsewhere. If you have unused subscription services, you might want to cut those off so you have a little extra money to put towards your holiday shopping. But I kind of wanted to also talk about the biggest danger. Let's be real. When people are talking about holiday debt, it's usually credit card debt. People lean on credit cards. So you want to avoid leaning on credit cards. I'm not saying you can't use a credit card, but only use a credit card for something that you're able to afford in cash anyway, so that way you can get all the benefits. And sometimes there's benefits with credit cards that, especially now with inflation affecting everything, every little bit counts towards those savings. So that could be rewards that you're earning back from the purchases you're making. It could be the cards you're using at a particular retailer give you discounts or return on those purchases that you were going to make this holiday anyway. And then sometimes it's those extra benefits that you don't even know your cards might have that could really save money elsewhere, or even a new credit card that gives you like a sign-on bonus or a 0% interest period. Look for things like that you can take advantage of, rather than just going, I'm going to put it on the credit card because I can't afford it right now. That's the danger.
Gotcha. All right. We are going to continue this conversation about holiday debt, spending, when to use your credit card, when to use your debit card, all that jazz. Remember, you can text us your question, 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.